Yo guys, what is up? Sorry it's a little later than I'll normally post these, but going over our what happened in the stock market today and our weekly recap of what happened in my portfolio, what happened in the broader stock market, and where we should go next. What are our next moves? So before we continue, please hit that like button and please hit the subscribe button. It helps me out a lot. It's free and it helps grow the channel. Appreciate it. It'll give you an update anytime I post a new video. So yeah, moving on. So I ended up closing the day on my portfolio up another $180. The week ended up $564 for me, which was it was an underperforming week, and I know that that might sound crazy. It's up $564, but on the month I'm up near 3,000. So this is probably my worst week this month. And on the quarter, it's one of my worst months. I think on the quarter, I'm up 9,500 now. So this month is a little underperforming, but hey, we'll take gains, right? We'll take them. And why? Why did it go up? AMC up another 4.33%. I talked about them yesterday in the video. Highlighted how they're selling that 15-cent movie ticket for August 20th. They're shooting for the reopen. A lot of that rise has been on their reopen hopes. If you haven't heard, they're doing that 100-year celebration. That's why the movie ticket price is down to 15 cents as the average price of a movie ticket 100 years ago when they opened. And they're also going to be showing some older movies, Back to the Future, some of those Disney classics and stuff on that reopen day. So it's a cool little celebration thing. It's a cute marketing idea. I'm a little cautious if you're thinking about buying into AMC right now. I'm already invested in, but I'm invested in at a share price that was, a lot less than it is now. So I'm making gains on AMC. But looking at it right now, I think a lot of optimism is kind of going into this little run it's doing. I think it's up something like 19% in the past 2 days, just on the news that they're going to open. So look into it if you believe in the rebound of movie theaters in the current state of the world. If you're not sure of the rebound, then there's other places to invest in your money that might be a little safer. But the profit potential of AMC on the bounce back is pretty big. I talked about it before. The pre-COVID price saw anywhere up to $18, $19 a share, and now it's trading at the mid fives. So potential to triple, maybe even four times the investment there in the long term. So things to think about. Lemonade up 6.68% at close today. There's no real news pushing that up, but it's a very volatile stock right now. I've talked about it before and mentioned it. It's a really risky stock. It's IPO'd at around, I want to say $49, $50. It shot up to 96, and now it's kind of been bouncing around the 59 to 65. I think it's kind of finding footing and resilience at the $60 per share price mark. I recommend anyone that is interested in that play, waiting for it to drop down to again that $60 mark and trying to buy in there. It's a cautious play because I do think that that share price could fall in the short term lower. But I think long term, if you look at Lemonade and you look at what it's trying to do in the insurance market, I think this stock has a lot of potential in the next 2, 3, and even more potential in the long term, 5, 7 years down the road. I think a lot of money can be made in this stock, and I highly recommend researching it and looking into it. MGM was up a modest 2.2%, which helped out. No real news pushing it forward. I still love MGM as one of my favorite stocks. Highly recommend looking into it. And then the other one, obviously, we talked about AMC, so we got to talk about Cinemark, right? Up 7.28%. It did a partial reopen of some of its theaters today. That's why the stock price went up so much. And it's planning on doing a full reopen in the next 2 weeks by August 28th. So again, if you like if I was going to invest into a movie theater stock right now, I would more optimistically look at Cinemark than I would at AMC. I think Cinemark's safer. I think they have a better cash balance on sheet, and I think their return in the short term is way more likely than AMC. Uh, and They are a little lagging behind AMC in percentage gain. I think Cinemark's only up about 11%, vice AMC's 19%. So if you were looking to invest right now, I would recommend Cinemark over AMC for buying right now purposes. Again, they might fall short term if people don't go to these reopens. I think it would destroy the stock prices if these went into reopening and no one goes. I personally think that a lot of people are going to go out to these movie theaters. I think a lot of people don't really care about coronavirus, which is crazy. That's all political. We're not going to get into it. But I think the vast majority of the population will not care about the social distancing and the threat. I think they'll take that these movie theaters are sanitizing everything and yada yada yada. I think people are going to go to these movie theaters. I think people want to get out of the house. People want to go. I think especially the younger generation, my generation, is going to want to go to these movie theaters. So I'm buying this rebound. And like we said, Cinemark's trading at about $12.30 ish a share right now. Its pre-COVID high was $44, $45 a share. So a lot of money to be made there too if you buy into this rebound. I think Cinemark's at a good price right now to buy in. I wouldn't wait for a pullback. I recommend Cinemark now, and I recommended it a couple of days ago as well before this run up of 11%. So hopefully you bought in when I first recommended it. I already went over. So yeah, just to touch on some of my underperformers for the week. AMD closed at minus 3.77% for the week for me. There's no negative news dipping it down. If you look at the chart for it, it's pretty standard in its trend. I'm not worried about it. Not worried about AMD at all. Lemonade, I know I talked about it as a big gainer today, but it's down about 5.18% for me on the week. Again, it's just a volatile stock. There's no real news driving it up or down. Its Q2 earnings were a little less than expected, so that's what drove the stock down this week. But it rallied back up. Like I said, it popped about 7% today. I still recommend looking into it, and I still, everything I said earlier still holds true for me on this stock. And last but not least, Workhorse closed down 6% on the week for me. I've talked about Workhorse quite a bit on this channel before, and I've had a lot of you guys message me individually about Workhorse. If I didn't make it clear before, I want to make it very clear now. Workhorse is one of the riskiest stocks I talk about. It's up there with Lemonade in this investing. If you didn't know, they were at 83 cents per share, and they've blown up to $15, $16 a share now. So a lot of you guys might think, wow, this is really good momentum. I want to chase this. This is a very risky stock, and I'm going to say stuff I've already said on this channel before, so if you've heard me talk about Workhorse, you can skip forward in the video a bit. There's going to not be any new information here, but they're in a bid with USPS, the United States Postal Service, for a $6.3 billion contract, right? That's what's really helped grow the stock. They also have a 10% stake in Lordstown Motors with a 1% royalty, and Lordstown Motors got this SPAC deal to make a partnership with, I want to say it's Diamond Peak, to become a public company. So that helped drive Workhorse up more as well. And Mahindra dropped out of the USPS bid contract. So there's only 3 competitors, being Ford, Curzon, and Workhorse. So that's what's helped drive Workhorse stock up. So this bid contract, 75% of it has to go towards making efficient, environmentally friendly vehicles. So and also they want to be American made. So that's Workhorse is the only one I've talked about before that fits both of those wickets. That's why I am putting a small bet. I want to be very clear. I'm not putting a massive investment in. I'm not saying this is a guaranteed hit. I personally don't think there's any chance that Workhorse walks out of here without at least a portion of this contract. If you didn't know, I want to be clear too. This contract doesn't have to go to a singular company. So I think it's going to be a split between Ford and Workhorse. And even if Workhorse gets a portion of this $6.3 billion bid, it's still going to help their stock in the short term. And that's the play I'm making there. And if they don't get any of the percentage on the contract, I think their stock plummets to single digits. And then I'll be buying more for long term, because I do think EVs are a really good investment right now in the next 2 to 3 years. Cool. So that's how my portfolio did on the week. Other things to look at for the week. So I talked about Rocket Group, RKT. They're sitting at $18.96. I think they IPO'd right at $17.50 or $18.50. I still love this company. I think long term this is a huge winner. Do your research on it. They do Quicken and they do Rocket Mortgage, or some of the companies that this stock represents. Again, I've talked about it before. I think Rocket Mortgage is going to be the mortgage company of millennials and Gen Z. I think they're going to take a lot of market share away. I think this is a disruptor in that sector. I think this has potential for massive growth. Again, I currently don't own any of Rocket. I sadly don't have the capital to invest more right now because I don't want to go below a certain amount of money in my checking account. But I don't want to liquidate any positions that I have currently to swap over to Rocket. But I recommend it. It's looking really tasty to me right now. As soon as I get my any extra sort of capital, I'm putting into Rocket. Another one I want to talk about is DraftKings. So they reported higher than expected losses for their Q2 earnings, and they dropped about 5.94% today. I love DraftKings. I've talked about it before on this channel. I think DraftKings is another great long-term play. But personally, I'm holding out for the news of the NFL, and I might miss some gains on the stock because of that. Because if the NFL announces that they're going to play preseason week 1 as planned and continue as fourth, I think DraftKings stock skyrockets. I think it gains 10, 15, 20% in a day, and it'll continue growth from there, right? I'm counting on the NFL to announce at least some sort of delay or even maybe a complete cancel the season. I don't think they're going to cancel the whole season. I foresee a 4-week delay coming in. I think that'll push DraftKings stock down in the short term. That's when I'm pulling the trigger and investing on DraftKings and holding long term for sports to come back. Because as sports do come back and we return to normalcy, I think DraftKings gains a lot. And that's my recommendation on that. So other things I want to talk about to look at is Wells Fargo and Bank of America. Bank of America's been on a tear recently, so if you want a safer than what I've talked about so far, post-COVID rebound stock, I would look at Bank of America. I'm not invested in it, and it's a little too, for me, short on potential gain for my money. I think there's better opportunities to make more percentage elsewhere, but it is a little bit of a safer stock to take a look at for some of you guys that may be more risk adverse. Another one to look at for a long-term recovery is Wells Fargo. They have been absolutely decimated in the past year. If you look at their stock price from a year ago to now, it's nothing compared to what it was. So if you believe in that, go for it. I don't believe in Wells Fargo. I just wanted to bring it up and talk to you guys because I've had some questions about it. But personally, just because a stock goes down in value, I don't think that makes it an investment opportunity to gain in the long term. I'm not going to get into it, right? But you'll hear people say every dead cat bounces. I think Wells Fargo will bounce as a dead cat here pretty soon. I don't believe in it long term. I might change my views on that if new news comes out, but as of today, August 14th, I'm not putting money in Wells Fargo. I think when it comes to sending money to other people and that whole prospect, I think PayPal, owning Venmo and Cash App, all this other stuff as millennials and Gen Z gets older, I think stuff like Wells Fargo and that stuff just continues to underperform. So those are my opinions on that. Last thing I wanted to talk about, these stocks I don't own any share in, but it's good news for you guys out there if you're thinking about these companies. So Epic Games, the creators of Fortnite, are suing Apple and Google here's the gist of it. So Apple and Google usually take about 30% of in-app purchases on the Play Store and the Apple Store, right? So if you were to, for your kid, or if you were playing a game on your phone and you spend $2 to make a purchase, Apple usually recoups 60 cents of that for themselves, and then the other company gains, the other $1.40, right? Fortnite and Epic Games saw a way to circumvent that. They took direct payments. They cut Apple and Google completely out of that process. Apple and Google said that's not how this works. They were banned and removed their Fortnite app from their phones. If you don't know what Fortnite is, it's a huge game. I don't play it myself, but it's massively popular. It makes a lot of money, right? So it's kind of been in the news in the stock world right now. Apple and Google traded down a tiny. It's not like they plummeted, right? They traded down a little bit on the negative news. And Epic Games is suing them. What do I think and what's my take on it? I think in the short term, it might drive Apple and Google down fractions of a percent, right? But long term, I don't think it's going to do anything to Apple and Google. If you look at litigation that's been placed on Apple, they have like a 10-year-old lawsuit on them for the use of Siri and voice recognition, voice recognition worth like 1.2 billion from a Chinese company, and Apple's just so good at litigating that they've kept them in the like law process for a decade, right? So if Epic tries to get anywhere with this, I think it's only going to hurt Epic. Apple has the capital, Google has the capital, and the law team to stall this case out forever if they need to, right? And 30% is actually pretty fair if you ask me. I know Epic Games has its own store where they only take 12%, but if you look at Steam and other video game platforms, I think 30% is pretty much a market standard, if not a little better than other websites. So I think if you are thinking about looking into Epic as they get more investing from other companies and are becoming available to be invested in, I think Epic is going to get kind of beat up from this and lose some money in litigation. But yeah, that's all I wanted to talk about today. That's all the news I wanted to bring up today. As I said in my 401k investing video, tomorrow's video is going to be about where I get my research from, how I centralize all of it, what articles I read, what do I look at, so you guys can start using my tools and doing your own research instead of just listening to me, right? Because you're getting my opinion on a lot of stuff. It's good for you to be able to form your own opinion, because I don't want to just sit here and tell you buy this, sell this, trade this, right? Because then what happens if a stock performs right in a certain way? I'm not there to give you advice, and you don't know what to do. I don't want to put you guys in that situation. So I'm going to give you the research tools I use tomorrow. I'm going to show you how to use them, and hopefully you can make your own informed decisions and make more money and be more successful than I am. But yeah, that's going to do it for this. If you guys have any questions, hit me up in the comments below. Again, thanks for watching. Please hit the like button and the subscribe button. Again, if you have any questions, please send them to me. If you have any viewer requests, that's how I'm getting a lot of ideas for these videos. Please send them to me. I'll do some research and talk on that subject. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good night and good luck on the market.